Imagine you're standing in front of two doors. Behind one door is a genius with an IQ of 160 who constantly sabotages their own success. Behind the other is someone with average intelligence who's built an empire, has incredible relationships, and wakes up genuinely happy every single day. Which door would you choose? Here's the thing most people don't realize. They've mastered emotional intelligence, and today, you're about to discover why the skill is the real game changer in life. Hit that like button right now and subscribe to The Thinking Mind because what you're about to learn will change everything. For years, we've been told to suppress feelings, to be rational, to keep emotions out of important decisions. The problem isn't that you have emotions. The problem is that most of us were never taught how to read them, understand them, or use them effectively. Maybe you sent an angry text you regretted. Maybe you quit something too early because you felt frustrated. In almost every case, it wasn't a lack of information that caused the problem. It was a lack of emotional intelligence. It's your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions while also recognizing, understanding, and influencing the emotions of others. It has four core components. First, self-awareness, which means you actually know what you're feeling and why. Second, self-management, which is your ability to control your emotional reactions instead of letting them control you. And fourth, relationship management, which is using all of this knowledge to build stronger connections and navigate social situations effectively. Here's what's fascinating. Research shows that emotional intelligence accounts for nearly 90% of what sets high performers apart from people with similar technical skills and knowledge. Your IQ might get you the job, but your emotional intelligence determines whether you keep it, get promoted, and actually enjoy the journey. He was a software engineer at a major tech company, a brilliant guy, top of his class at MIT, could solve complex problems in his sleep. But Marcus had a serious issue. Whenever someone questioned his code or suggested improvements, he'd get defensive. He'd shut down in meetings. He'd send passive-aggressive emails. His manager kept passing him over for leadership roles even though technically he was the most skilled person on the team. That conversation was a wake-up call. Marcus started working on his emotional intelligence. He learned to pause before reacting. He started asking himself why certain feedback triggered him. Within 18 months, everything changed. He got promoted to lead engineer. His relationships with colleagues improved dramatically, and here's the kicker. His actual technical output got better because he wasn't wasting mental energy on emotional reactions. Do you immediately defend yourself? Or can you pause and consider whether there's truth in what they're saying? When you're stressed, do you know exactly what's causing that stress? Or does it just feel like a vague, overwhelming cloud? When you walk into a room, can you sense the mood and energy? Or are you completely focused on your own thoughts? Emotional intelligence is something most of us learn in school, but here's the incredible news. Let's break down how to actually build this skill, starting with self-awareness. This is the foundation of everything else. You cannot manage what you don't understand. Start by creating an emotion journal. I know it sounds simple, maybe even silly, but hear me out. Not what you thought, but what you actually felt. Were you anxious before that presentation? What specifically made you anxious? Were you irritated during that conversation? Was it really about what the person said, or were you already stressed about something unrelated? This practice trains your brain to recognize patterns. You'll start noticing that certain situations consistently trigger certain emotions. Maybe you always feel inadequate when talking to a specific colleague. Maybe you get anxious every Sunday evening thinking about the week ahead. Once you see the patterns, you can start addressing the root causes instead of just reacting to symptoms. The next level is self-management, and this is where most people struggle. Knowing what you feel is one thing, controlling how you respond is another. When you feel a strong emotion rising, especially anger, frustration, or anxiety, train yourself to pause for just 6 seconds before responding. Label the emotion you're feeling, Ask yourself one question. Will my immediate reaction help or hurt the situation? This tiny pause creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lives your power. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Most people are on autopilot. Someone says something insulting. They fire back instantly. They feel anxious. They immediately reach for their phone or food or whatever their escape mechanism is. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Social awareness and relationship management. This is about reading other people and using that information to build stronger connections. The most emotionally intelligent people are exceptional listeners, but not in the way you think. They're actively trying to understand the emotional subtext of what's being said. Here's an example. You notice their tone, their body language, the fact that they said it too quickly. This level of attention makes people feel truly seen and heard, and that creates incredibly strong bonds. Let me share something powerful about empathy because it's often misunderstood. It means you're willing to step into their perspective and understand their feelings, even if you'd feel differently in the same situation. A high empathy response recognizes that everyone has different stress triggers and capacities. You acknowledge their stress, maybe offer help or encouragement, and you don't dismiss their experience just because it's different from yours. This skill alone will transform your relationships at work, at home, everywhere. Now let's address something crucial: emotional intelligence in conflict. This is where it truly matters. Conflict is inevitable in life. But here's what separates emotionally intelligent people from everyone else. They don't avoid conflict, and they don't escalate it. They navigate it skillfully. When conflict arises, emotionally intelligent people focus on interests, not positions. They ask questions like, "Help me understand what's really important to you here. What are you hoping to achieve?" They manage their own emotional reactions so they can stay solution-focused instead of getting caught up in being right. They validate the other person's feelings even when they disagree with their conclusions. They look for win-win outcomes instead of approaching every disagreement as a battle to be won. Think about your last major argument with someone you care about. What happened? Most likely, both people became so focused on defending their position that no one was actually listening. Emotions escalated. Things were said that couldn't be unsaid. And even if someone eventually apologized, the relationship took damage. Now imagine if just one person in that argument had high emotional intelligence. They would have noticed when emotions were escalating and suggested a break. They would have acknowledged the other person's feelings before presenting their own perspective. They would have asked questions to understand rather than making accusations. That one person could have completely changed the outcome. Here's something that might make you uncomfortable, but needs to be said. I'm talking about your career advancement, the quality of your relationships, your mental health, your physical health, because chronic stress from poor emotional management literally damages your body, your ability to influence others, and your overall life satisfaction. Studies at Yale, Harvard, and countless other institutions have proven that people with high emotional intelligence earn more money, have better relationships, experience less anxiety and depression, and report higher levels of life satisfaction. But here's the trap. Most people know emotional intelligence is important, but they don't actually work on developing it. They treat it like they treat exercise or healthy eating. So let me give you a practical 30-day challenge that will genuinely improve your emotional intelligence if you actually do it. Week 1. Practice self-awareness. Every morning, set an intention to notice your emotions throughout the day. Week 2. Add the pause practice. Before responding to any emotional trigger, pause for 6 seconds. Breathe, label the emotion, choose your response. Week 3. Focus on listening. In every conversation, make it your goal to understand the other person's emotional state, not just their words. Ask follow-up questions. Reflect back what you're hearing. Week 4. Practice empathy in difficult situations. When someone frustrates you or you disagree with them, consciously try to understand their perspective and validate their feelings before presenting your own view. You'll handle stress better, you'll make better decisions, and people will start responding to you differently because you're showing up differently. Here's the beautiful thing about emotional intelligence. The more you develop it, the more it compounds. Better emotional intelligence leads to better relationships. Better relationships lead to more opportunities and support. More opportunities lead to greater success. Greater success builds confidence. And confidence makes it easier to manage emotions. It's a virtuous cycle. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean you're always calm, always positive, or never feel negative emotions. Emotionally intelligent people feel the full range of human emotions. They get angry, sad, frustrated, anxious. They acknowledge the feeling, understand where it's coming from, express it appropriately, and then decide how to respond in a way that aligns with their values and goals. You're allowed to feel angry when you're treated unfairly. Emotional intelligence gives you the tools to feel those emotions fully while still choosing responses that serve you. So here's my challenge to you right now. Think about one relationship in your life that could be better. Now ask yourself honestly, how much is your own emotional intelligence, or lack of it, contributing to the problems in that relationship? Are you reactive? Are you defensive? Do you actually listen or just wait to talk? Do you validate their feelings or dismiss them? What would change if you approached that relationship with higher emotional intelligence starting today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me which aspect of emotional intelligence you struggle with most. Let's learn from each other. And if this video gave you value, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. You might just change their life. Remember, you found this content here on The Thinking Mind, where we break down the psychology and strategies that actually create real change. It determines how you show up in the world, how people experience you, and ultimately, how successful and fulfilled you become. The person you'll become 6 months from now will thank you for starting this journey right now.